Alright guys, we're back in my garage for another video. If you're new to the channel, I use these videos to help keep you updated on the latest developments related to our cars, as well as discuss technical topics so that we have a better understanding of how our engines work. So if you're interested in videos like that, be sure to subscribe to the channel. There will be a lot more coming out in the future. So today we're going to be talking about drivetrain malfunctions. And hopefully this isn't something that you've run into, but if it is, it can be kind of unnerving because the big warning pops up on your iDrive screen and it doesn't really give you much information outside of that. And so it can be kind of confusing and kind of a struggle. And a lot of times people turn their cars off and turn it back on and it completely goes away. So I'm going to talk about what can cause that drivetrain malfunction to pop up and how you can fix it to prevent it from coming back in the future. So a drivetrain malfunction is very similar to a check engine light on BMWs. Basically, it's just an advanced warning that tells you there's something significantly wrong with your car. Usually it's paired with limp mode, so your car might feel like it's not building boost, it might feel like it's misfiring, it might sound really bad like it's not running on all the cylinders, and usually that's an indication that something has shut down to put your car into a limp mode to protect it from more damage. Now, the drivetrain malfunction itself doesn't really mean anything. Just like a check engine light, you're going to need to scan your car for codes and run some diagnostics in order to figure out what's going on. So in my case, I've actually had this come up a couple times, but typically it's something pretty simple, especially if I've recently worked on my car. I'll usually just scan it for codes and figure out what's going on from there. Now, if you have tuning software, it's really easy to scan for codes. With MHD, boot mode, MG Flasher, pretty much any tuning platform can give you the 6-digit BMW code, but I highly recommend not using just a regular scan tool that you might get from AutoZone or any other auto parts store. You want that 6-digit BMW code in order to tell you what's going on. Our BMWs have a lot of sensors and get a lot of flack for being complicated, but all of those sensors also help give you an advanced level of diagnostics so that you have a better understanding of where the problem is based on the code that it provides. So use an actual BMW tool or your tuning software to scan for codes and figure out what's wrong with your car. Now, if you turned your car off and turned it back on, your drivetrain malfunction might go away, but it still will store the code in your car's history. Not all tuning software can read this, but if you have trouble finding it, you can also go to an actual BMW technician. Most of them should have the dealership software ISTA, and that can show you all of the code history on your car, whether it's active or not. Now, you might have to do a little bit of work to match up with the mileage where the issue actually happened, so just keep that in mind, but it will store a lot of history. You might even see codes that you didn't realize you had when you scanned it at that time. But just because the drivetrain malfunction went away doesn't mean that you can't scan it with your tool in order to figure out what the problem was when it came up. I think the most common cause with B58 engine is mostly people having rail pressure dips. Either they get their ethanol mix wrong or their tune is too aggressive. And so they'll say, hey, my car misfired really hard in the middle of a pull around 4,000 RPM. And then it threw a drivetrain malfunction. And when I turned it on and turned it back off, it was fine. So again, usually I just recommend scanning for codes to see if you see any fuel pressure codes in there, or you can run a log to see if there's any indication that your rail pressure is struggling. Outside of that, it really could be anything. In my case, I actually just had a drivetrain malfunction after working on my car. And when I scanned for codes, I realized that it was my wastegate, which was something very simple. Anytime you get an open circuit code like that, it's typically just something that's unplugged. And I forgot to plug it back in after I was working on my car. So I plugged it in, started my car back up, and the drivetrain malfunction went away. So in this case, I just say pay attention to your car. If it's driving fine, it's probably okay to drive it to a shop to get it scanned, but don't put it off for too long. Make sure that you're actually checking to see if it's a potentially serious issue. Maybe there was a specific set of circumstances that created the problem, but the next time you do that, it'll just happen again. So you want to make sure you at least understand why the drivetrain malfunction came up so that you can fix the problem before it potentially turns into a bigger problem. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.